Right, on to our top story now. The Asset Forfeiture Unit is set to continue seizing what is alleged to be proceeds of crime derived from the failed 2014 Asbestos Project in the Free State. 7 suspects appeared in the Bloemfontein Magistrates Court, that was last Friday, and they will now be charged with fraud, corruption and money laundering. One of those nabbed is businessman Edwin Sodi, who has been identified as a key figure in the patronage network. Newzroom Afrika's senior politics reporter Ziyanda Ngcobo is in Braynston, and let's talk to her live now. Ziyanda, very good morning to you. What time exactly do we expect the NPA's Asset Forfeiture Unit to come knocking?
Well, Tole, it's around 10 o'clock this morning that we're expecting members from the Asset Forfeiture Unit to arrive here at the Blackhead Consulting headquarters in Braynston, where they're expected to begin their seizure operations, of course, trying to recoup some of the assets, movable assets, in after that asbestos project, which had failed, Tole. So we're expecting to start here, and then we'll, of course, then move to one of Sodi's other properties, luxurious properties, I might add, that up until last week was on auction for around 85 million rand. It's also still in Braynston, and that's where we're expecting to see, his luxury vehicles, his Porsches, his Lamborghinis, and his Rolls Royce being taken by the Asset Forfeiture Unit for that 255 million rand contract.
Yeah, so you are outside the business property right now, Ziyanda. What could they possibly seize there? We know that property is an immovable asset. So what could they possibly get from there? Or is that whole property now going to be the subject of, or the property that is attached by the Asset Forfeiture Unit?
Well, it's unclear at this stage what exactly they're going to try and recover at this property, but we do know that last week when Sodi was arrested, he was first nabbed in Rosebank and brought to this particular property where they were able to take where they conducted their raid on the business premises, assuming that they were taking laptops and any other assets that could be used to form part of the investigation. Regarding the seizure now of particular assets, it's unclear what exactly they could recover, but I can tell you, Toli, that we've been seeing employees driving up and down this driveway behind me, coming to work, and one can only wonder what they're thinking at this particular point in time. I memean, Sodi has been identified as a key figure in this patronage network and the distribution of these millions. When the contract for 255 million was awarded, so far we know, Toli, that only 230 million has been paid, and that up until a few weeks ago, Sodi was still trying to recover the remaining 25 million. But nevertheless, Toli, the money would go through Sodi first. And actually, let me detail for you what exactly happened. From 2014, the Department of Human Settlements paid Sodi on 19th of December 2014, 20 million rand. And again, on the 14th of December 2015, he received 31 million rand. On the 25th of March 2015, he received 25 million rand, and again in 2015 in June another 15 million rand came in. In August 2017 he received 36.5 million, and just to fast track it, up until 2016 he received 45 million, 32 million, 15 million. So this money came in tranches, Toli, and I can tell you, according to the investigating officer, that money would not just stay with Sodi. He then subcontracted this asbestos project to Silo Khadebe and his company Master Trade for 44 million rand. Silo then continued to subcontract the tender further to Abel Manyeki and his company Ori Group for another 21 million rand. And ultimately, Toli, it's come out that this contract was not meant to be more than 25 million rand for the removal of this asbestos. So certainly the Asset Forfeiture Unit looking to seize as many assets as possible, and this operation won't only be taking place in Gauteng, but in the Free State, KwaZulu-Natal as well.
Yeah, Ziyanda, let's talk politics a little bit now. And we know that Edwin Sodi was quite a generous funder of the governing ANC. Some will say that he paid the ANC on demand. We heard his testimony at the State Capture Commission of Inquiry. Just a quick question around those who may have received monies from Sodi, and through his very own testimony naming some people that he had given monies to. I spoke to the SIU yesterday, and they said, well, all that really is expected from those people would be to pay that money back. As far as the NPA is concerned, are there not going to be any prosecutions at all?
Well, I can tell you, Koli, that the NPA says that the arrest of former and current officials was a deliberate move on their part, and so as to strategically move from the ground up to ultimately get to the politicians and the so-called masterminds of this corruption related to this asbestos project. Now, related to the people that Sodi would have paid, I mean, Dr. Zweli Mkhize released a statement just last week after Sodi actually testified that he donated 6.5 million to the ANC while Mkhize was still the Treasurer General of the party. Now, it's unclear whether the ANC is going to be paying that money back, but of course, Pule Mabe has come out to say that parties receive funding from donors all the time, so they considered Sodi a donor. However, this is the governing party, Koli, and you were mentioning that bill regarding political party funding. Of course, if there's no declaration of who's funding a particular political party, one can then, it cannot be, taken for granted to assume that when you donate to a particular political party, that the assumption is that it would be in exchange for influence over the awarding of contracts. Sodi himself has said that he's a entrepreneur and he's actually benefited from government contracts. I mean, worth up to about 1 billion rand. So Dr. Zweli Mkhize has released a statement. Zizi Godwa as well, basically saying what's money between two friends. Godwa saying that he was at Luthuli House at the time that Sodi was actually bankrolling him. It was because salaries often got paid late at Luthuli House, and that Sodi as a friend was assisting him with amounts of around 180,000 at a time. But of course, Koli, as the NPA said, they are expecting to move upwards, as Sipongwema has described, to actually nab those who were behind this. But so far, the officials who were the runners, so to speak, in this particular scam are the ones who've been nabbed, and we understand that they've been cooperating very well with authorities in terms of actually giving evidence and corroborating what they have so far.
All right, Ziyanda Ngcobo, live for us at the Blackhead Consulting. That is the business property that was used by Edwin Sodi, who's now in custody. Well, I know he's on bail. I should actually correct that. He was nabbed and then they received bail on Friday.